So, Trump won. He got the plurality of the vote and will most likely be the Republican nominee. It seems almost crazy that all the experts predicted he would lose. It's now claimed that the experts really underestimated Trump. But did the experts underestimate Trump? Did Trump really do a great job? Well, no. He had the worst election performance of any Republican candidate in the last 40 years. He only got 44% of the Republican vote. That's the lowest percent of support since the modern Republican primaries were started in 1976. In fact, Trump is only the second Republican candidate to get below 50% of the primary vote in modern history. When I look at the news, I was quite surprised. The news stories were trying to spin the increase in voter turnout as support for Trump. My first thought was, wow, the news doesn't understand how statistics work. My second, well, that's nothing new. Trump likes to claim that he had 34% more votes than Romney. He also likes to ignore that he had 84% more opposing votes than Romney. And so the increase in people voting isn't because Trump is popular. It's because it was a tight election with controversial candidates. In a shoe-in election with a pretty normal candidate like Romney, fewer people vote because fewer people are worried about the outcome. But you might respond, if Trump is so unpopular, how did he win? Well, that comes down to two major factors. The first is the experts didn't underestimate Trump. They underestimated the rest of the candidates. Experts thought that one of the other Republicans would take a leadership role and would defeat Trump, that there would be a Republican who would be able to take the reins, and frankly, all of the other Republican candidates were meh. Second, even though he was not the popular choice for the majority of Republicans, Trump does have a group of diehard supporters that make up about 35% of the Republican Party. These two conditions resulted in a paradox well known to political science. Let me explain using an example situation. Let's use 4 imaginary voters for this example: Bill, Bob, Bruce, and Eleanor Schmidt. Bill's favorite candidate is Trump. His second is Cruz, his third Rubio, and finally Kasich. Bob's preferences are Cruz, Rubio, Kasich, and Trump. Bruce's are Rubio, Cruz, Kasich, and Trump. And Eleanor's are Kasich, Rubio, Cruz, and Trump. Now, let's assume for a moment that 40% of voters are a Bill, 30% a Bob, 20% a Bruce, and 10% an Eleanor. So that means in an election of Trump versus Rubio, Rubio wins. Trump versus Cruz, Cruz wins. Trump versus Kasich, Kasich wins. But if you have a situation where it's Trump versus Rubio versus Cruz versus Kasich, Trump wins. Well, why? Well, in any one-on-one contest, Trump's unpopularity defeats him. But in a 4-way election, Trump's core base is larger. Do we know that's what would have happened for sure? No, but it's supported by polling data from the start of the campaign. 50% of Cruz supporters and 54% of Kasich supporters believed Trump would be a bad president. On the other hand, only 25% of Kasich supporters thought Ted Cruz would be a bad president, and a mere 17% of Cruz voters thought Kasich would be a bad president. This is called vote splitting, and it's nothing new. It's why W. Bush won the 2000 election. It's also why Bill Clinton beat H.W. Bush, because H.W. Bush lost votes to Ross Perot. But what is absurd about this situation is we have Trump, one of the most unpopular people, even in the Republican Party, a candidate that only got 44% of the Republican vote, getting elected as the Republican presidential candidate. This does not bode well for Trump's potential as president. But what I want you to do is whenever you get someone telling you that Trump is popular because he got more votes than Romney, point out that yes, he got more votes than Romney, but he also only got 44% support from the Republican Party. The majority of Republicans disapproved of Trump.